Today we're taking a look at the mysterious and tragic murder of a 7-year-old in broad daylight on a quiet suburban street, a case that has left a lingering shadow over Elizabeth, New Jersey since 1966. This is the story of Wendy Wolin. Hello friends, my name is Marcia, and this is Midwest Murders. Elizabeth, New Jersey in 1966 was a city at the crossroads of significant social, economic, and political changes. The era was marked by industrial activity, social activism, and cultural shifts, reflecting the broader trends of the United States during the turbulent 1960s. The civil rights movement was in full swing, influencing local and national politics. New Jersey was also dealing with the aftermath of the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the ongoing push for equal rights and integration. Second-grade student Wendy Sue Wolin lived with her mother, stepfather, and 11-year-old sister Jody at the Pierce Manor Apartments at 400 Irvington Avenue, an upscale building complex in Westminster, then an affluent area of the city. On Tuesday, March 8, 1966, at around 4 p.m., 7-year-old Wendy walked near the front of the Pierce Manor apartment building waiting for her mother, who was bringing the car around from its parking area. They had plans to run errands and pick up Jody from school. It was broad daylight, and many people were out on the busy street. As she stood waiting in front of the driveway leading to the Elizabeth Human Relations Commission office, a white, middle-aged, heavy-set man with gray hair, wearing an olive-green corduroy coat and felt hat, appeared walking toward her. As he neared her, he suddenly crouched down and stabbed her in the abdomen through her coat. Initially, the child thought she had been punched in the abdomen and cried out in pain. Her assailant kept walking. A woman walking nearby did not realize Wendy had been stabbed, but because Wendy was obviously in pain, she took her to a nearby firehouse. At the Elizabeth Fire Department building across the street, personnel there didn't realize Wendy had been stabbed and took their time questioning her. She told them she did not know who the man was before becoming unconscious. Wendy was rushed to Elizabeth General Hospital, where she was pronounced dead at 5:15 p.m. An autopsy revealed that her cause of death was shock and hemorrhage with lacerations to the liver and lungs. Police found 13 witnesses who had seen all or part of the attack. The woman who had helped Wendy to the fire station told police she had been walking ahead of Wendy with her niece when a large man wearing a dark corduroy coat and a blue or gray fedora hat approached her. While she did not know the man, they exchanged pleasantries. As he walked past, she turned around to look for her niece and saw him bend over Wendy. 3 other young female witnesses described the killer as being around 6 feet tall and weighing around 220 pounds. He appeared white and around 45 to 50 years old, with gray hair and a slight limp. Police scoured taverns, rooming houses, the train and bus stations, and all isolated areas for the suspect. A blood-stained knife with a 4-inch blade was found in a gutter 300 yards from the scene. Police believed it was the murder weapon. As the investigation continued, investigators learned that assaults against other Elizabeth schoolgirls had occurred only minutes earlier and less than a mile from where Wendy was killed. Minutes before the attack on Wendy, without provocation, a man matching the description of the suspect had punched a 7th-grade schoolgirl named Diane in the eye, knocking her onto the ground in front of shocked witnesses at Broad and West Jersey streets. Joseph Cosmano, who had been waiting for a bus on Broad Street when he heard Diane's scream, had chased the attacker into Woolworth's, but by the time he got there, the man was nowhere in sight. Additionally, the suspect was thought to have put his arms around a 16-year-old girl at Morris Avenue and Prince Street prior to attacking Wendy. The brutal, senseless killing shook Elizabeth to its core and led to the biggest manhunt in the history of the state of New Jersey. More than 1,500 people were questioned by police and prosecutors. Trains and buses were boarded and searched. A special phone line was installed to deal with the thousands of tips that poured in from eyewitnesses and concerned citizens. Wanted posters blanketed the city, and copies were sent to every police department in the nation. They even went so far as to examine a military ship docked in the port of Elizabeth before it left for Vietnam to make sure that the suspect wasn't among the crew. Despite these efforts and public appeals, the identity of the perpetrator remained unknown. Wendy was buried in Woodbridge Township, New Jersey, after a service at Temple B'nai Israel in Elizabeth. Her classmates planted a cherry blossom tree in her honor. With the city gripped in fear, parents kept their children inside and walked with them to and from school. Gone were the carefree days of childhood. The city of Elizabeth had lost its innocence. A $3,500 reward was posted by the Elizabeth City Council. Later, $5,000 was added to the reward fund by the Union County Crime Stoppers. Additional donations to the reward fund were made by the City Council and the Elizabeth Journal newspaper. In 1995, a 60-year-old Elizabeth woman, who was not a witness to the attack, provided police with a tip that led investigators to a Union County resident in his mid-70s at the time, who was not among those hundreds interviewed at the time of Wendy's killing. The woman had seen the man at a wake in Elizabeth and thought he resembled the composite. Investigators reportedly received several positive identifications of the man when they showed a photo of him to witnesses. Eventually, however, he passed 2 polygraph tests and the investigation came to an end. Over the years, the chic Pierce Manor apartments where Wendy had lived deteriorated and were renamed the Oakwood Plaza Apartments. In memory of Wendy, a small memorial rock garden called Wendy's Garden has been established at the site of her murder, where it remains today. The 1966 murder of Wendy Wolin remains an unresolved tragedy that continues to haunt the community of Elizabeth. Despite numerous efforts by law enforcement and the passage of many decades, her case is a stark reminder of the pain and frustration felt by families and communities when justice is not served. Wendy was a child whose life was tragically cut short. Her story is a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing our loved ones. If you have any thoughts, theories, or comments about the murder of Wendy Wolin, please share them in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and may the truth reveal itself in the shadows.